the other day. God, I don't know.
Shut up. That was a classic. So
it was good though, wasn't it?
It was awesome. What you did last Sunday. Now that we're live on Facebook at the moment too, Ross, heads up.
Okay, thank you.
When you mentioned, it was the world's naked gardening day. I'm thinking, oh God, what's coming on? What's going to come on?
Not my little naked butt, I can assure you. Not a pretty sight.
I was relieved. I was like, oh, thank God. But going back to all the good things that's happening now, so that's why I'm really, really happy. Some restrictions are being lifted. So 11th, some of the RVMAs are opening back again. Beauty salons and hairdressing salons. I mean, obviously
that would be wonderful.
You can have restrictions. But my most happiest part, 13th of May, is the day my daughter gets to go outside for 4 hours.
Oh, wow. So she hasn't been outside for how many weeks now? 1.5
months. It's actually about 7 weeks now, Ross.
That's incredible, isn't it?
It's tough.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a real challenge. She's a 12-year-old, just
active, active age. Yeah.
So,
hey, listen, I like your background tonight.
Thanks. That's I'm actually at home. That's our Istanbul office. So
yeah, I can see the opera house in the background.
Yeah, so it's got our this way.
Yep.
So it's got the destinations in the background. So my colleague Tolga actually took the photo and I said, I want that. And then he just flipped it across to me. So now I've got my Ankara office background, double office background. I'm missing the Kadıköy one. I've got to get the Kadıköy office background.
So you're Mrs. Virtual now.
I am. So it's good though, when I have management meetings, all the managers think I'm working in the office.
Good girl. That's excellent.
I tell them I'm so tired. I'm working. No, I'm kidding. They know it's a backdrop. They know, having a bit of fun.
So have you had a nice day today?
I've had a great day. What's today? Tuesday. Earlier on, I had a big headache. I don't know. I think it's the overcast that I've got that we've got in Istanbul. It was just one of those headaches that staggered along the whole day.
Terrible.
I'm not sure.
Do you know the acupuncture point for headaches? If you get your thumb, get your thumb, put it in the middle, like of your there.
Oh, okay, of the hand, yeah.
And then pinch that section on either side. That's the acupuncture point for headaches. It really does work too.
How long do I pinch that for?
Till the headache's gone.
Oh, wow.
No, generally it'll go within about 10 minutes.
Oh, I didn't know that. Good to know.
No, someone taught me that a long time ago.
Thanks, I've just learned something new. Love it. Thank you very much.
Okay, so how are we going?
So everyone's in now. All our viewers are in, I believe. So I'll do my usual welcome back, everybody. And welcome to the people that have just joined us for the first time. Exciting night tonight. I'm energetic, honestly. I'm full of energy. It all comes down to our freedom is coming back slowly. So that's my main reason. And tonight we've got a ripper of a session coming. So I sound very Australian, don't I? A ripper of a session. Fair dinkum. Just general housekeeping, ladies and gentlemen. There's no PowerPoint tonight. It's going to be a live session you'll see of a speaking session, and the questions are not official IELTS tests. It's a speaking assist questions that we will be using. So I want to underline the speaking assist questions. Roz will be providing feedback to our test taker. So, and she will not be providing a score. However, what you will be able to do is, towards the end, a wonderful super duper team that's behind the scenes will give you the link of the speaking band descriptors in about 10 minutes into the session, and then you can open it up and go through it while Roz is providing the feedback. Questions, please write your questions. We will do them at the end. We won't do them during the speaking. I won't be interrupting Roz with the session. And I had another note I had to say that I can't remember at the moment, but take lots of notes and enjoy the session is what I say, actually, what I should be saying. Turkish, hoş geldiniz arkadaşlar. Tekrar hoş geldiniz. Ya da yeni katılan arkadaşlarımıza ilk defa bizi izliyorsanız, ismim Seval. IDP Türkiye'nin yetkilisiyim. Uzmanımız Rose'la birlikte bu akşam speaking ile ilgili bir deneme speaking yapılacak ekranlarımızda bu akşam. 11 ile 14 dakika arası sürecek. Speaking sorularımız resmi IELTS speaking sorularımız değil. Bunun altını çizerek söylemek istiyorum. Speaking assist ürünümüz var. Speaking assist sorularını soracağız. Speaking sınavımızın sonuna doğru 11 ile 14 dakika arası süreceği için arkadaşlarımız sizlere bir link paylaşacak. Linkte de speaking band descriptors var. Onları bir ekranda açmanızı rica edeceğiz. Rose çünkü skor vermeyecek arkadaşlar. Bu adayımızı sadece feedback verecek. Bunu bildireyim. PowerPoint yok. PowerPoint gösterimiz olmayacak. İki arkadaş Rose ile adayımız kameralarını açacaklar. Ben kameramı kapatacağım bu durumda. Geriye çekileceğim speaking bitene kadar. Bol bol not alabilirsiniz. Onun haricinde sorularınızı yazın lütfen ama sorularımızı sonunda cevaplayacağız. Bölmek istemiyorum Rose'u. Bu kadar. İyi eğlenceler, iyi seyirler diliyorum. Umarım faydalı bir eğitim olacak hepiniz için. So that's the housekeeping side. Roz, I think I can kick back into English now.
Fantastic.
And I think I can get my invigilator. That's why I'm in the office. I'm going to act like an invigilator as well now.
Well done.
So are you ready to rock and roll, Roz?
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Here I go with absolutely again. Yeah, I've got to stop that.
Okay, so can I have Ashley? Can you switch your camera on, please, Ashley?
Hello.
Hi, Ashley.
Hi.
I just want to make sure I do the invigilating part. So, Ashley, have you got your ID card with you?
Yes, I do.
Excellent. Have you cloaked everything? Have you placed your mobile phone away? Have you switched it off and you've taken away your watch or anything else from your pockets? Excellent. So you're ready to take the speaking test.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Ashley. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi. So good evening. My name is Roz. Unlike in the real IELTS test, I won't be asking for your full name or identification tonight. Can you tell me your first name, please?
Ashley.
Thank you, Ashley. And can you tell me where you're from?
I'm from Turkey.
Great. Before we begin, can I check that you have some paper and pen or pencil for making notes in the second part of the speaking test?
Yes, I have.
Great. And do you also have a copy of the public version of the speaking band descriptors? We'll be looking at these after the test.
Yes, I do.
Good. Now, in this first part, Ashley, I'd like to ask you some questions about yourself. Let's talk about where you live. Do you like the home you're living in now?
Yes, I do, because it's much bigger than the one I lived before.
Okay. And are other people also living there?
Yes, I live with my mom.
And anyone else?
No, just me and mom.
Is it easy to get to school from your home?
Absolutely. It's 2 minutes away and I take a scooter.
Thank you. Now let's talk about cars, Ashley. How often do you drive a car?
I don't know how to drive. I'm only 18.
And is there a car that you particularly like?
That would be Range Rovers, I think.
Why?
Because they're big. And I really like big cars, like Jeeps.
Do you think the traffic has changed in your country in the past few years?
Yes, it has, because the population has increased a lot.
And do you think people nowadays use cars too much?
Definitely, because I think the families have more than one car.
Mm-hmm. Now let's talk about housing. Do most people in your country own a house or apartment, or do they rent?
Actually, they rent apartments.
Why?
Because it's much cheaper. Yeah, and I think our population is really crowded.
What is the most popular type of housing where you come from?
That'll be apartments because we have a huge population, and I think people would be homeless if they lived in big houses.
Why?
Because it's really crowded, especially where I live, and I think people would be homeless, yeah, honestly.
Is the location of a house very important?
For me, yes, because I'd like to be around the place where I hang out, or I'd like to be close to my school.
Why?
Because I want to wake up late and I want to be really close to my school. And if I need anything, I'll have like people to help me around.
Is there any type of housing that you do not like?
If I had a choice, I'd probably live in a house. So I'd go on with apartments because I'd want more privacy.
Thank you. Now, Ashley, I'm going to give you a topic and I'd like you to talk about it for 1 to 2 minutes. Okay. Before you talk, you'll have 1 minute to think about what you're going to say. You can make some notes if you wish. Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. So do you have some paper and pencil for making notes?
Yes, I do.
In the real IELTS speaking test, the examiner will give you a task card. But because we're doing this test on the phone, I'll read out the full task to you and you can note down the points you should cover. I'll read out the topic and the points to you twice, okay?
Okay.
So, Ashley, I'd like you to describe a place you visited. You should say where you travelled to, the type of transport you used to get there, who travelled with you, and explain why you travelled to this place. I'll repeat that. Describe a place you visited. You should say where you travelled to, the type of transport you used to get there, who travelled with you, and explain why you travelled to this place. Okay then, your 1 minute begins now. All right, Ashley, remember you have 1 to 2 minutes for this, so don't worry if I stop you. I'll tell you when the time is up. Can you start speaking now, please?
So me and my mum decided to have a girls' trip, and we packed 2 types of clothes because we were heading both a cold and a hot climate. Our first stop was Norway, Oslo, and we went there by plane. We stayed with a Norwegian family friend, and she helped us travel around Oslo. And the thing I really liked about Norwegian people were that they were really respectful compared to our country. I was a bit of a surprise. And in Norway, we joined a bus tour and we headed to Denmark with them. Actually, this bus tour came from Turkey and we joined them. We stayed in Denmark for 2 days, and those 2 days were more like resting days because we were really tired in those 2 days. Then we headed to Holland, Amsterdam. Actually, we stopped by for a night. It was really nice, and I came I just ran into my PE teacher from school, which was really awkward. And our last place to visit was Paris, France. It really nice. As much as it was nice, it was really dirty, and I really disliked the thing about Paris. And the best part of Paris was the shopping, because there's a huge street called Champs-Élysées Street, and I love shopping. So there were lots of brands to shop, and I bought lots of souvenirs to my friends back home. Actually, we stayed there for 2 days, but it was really nice. And we headed back home by plane, but the bus tour came back home by bus. My mom doesn't really like bus tours, so we came back home by plane.
Thank you. Do you generally enjoy traveling to places, Ashley?
Yes, I do. I love traveling.
Good. So we've been talking about a place you visited and how you travelled there, and I'd like to discuss with you one or two more general questions related to this. Let's consider, first of all, travelling overseas. So what should we all think about before we travel overseas or abroad?
I think the priority should be the passport, because no one could travel without a passport, and everyone should book their tickets beforehand, like a month ago. And people should have the currency as well, the country's currency. And if people have pets, I think they should find someone to look after them.
That's a good idea. And do you think it's also useful to do a little bit of online research about where we're going to travel to?
Of course, because I think planning is really important beforehand, and people should plan like the places where they're going to go and the tourist attractions, and people should maybe learn even some words in their language so people could be more friendly and they would appreciate.
And what's the purpose of doing the research before you go?
I think people should, for language, if people learn language, like few words, they could survive out there by their own.
Now let's go on to talk about the environmental impact of transportation. Do you agree or disagree that some types of transportation have a huge impact on the environment, more so than others?
Definitely. Flying, I think, leaves a huge carbon footprint, and this affects the environment really negatively. And in fact, the vehicles use fossil fuels, and this is harmful to environment as well.
And do you think that in the future that people will look towards more environmentally friendly forms of transportation?
Actually, yes, because people right now educate students about the environment, how it should be the priority. And I think there will be more electric cars.
And what would the benefits of electric cars be?
I think it will be probably, there won't be, I think, air pollution as much as we have right now.
And do you think that that will lessen the impact on the environment in the future?
Definitely, I think, definitely.
Do you also think that people will think about the type of transportation they use in the future?
Actually, to be honest, I don't agree with that, because people I have around cares more about the brands they use.
Okay, thank you very much, Ashley. That is the end of the speaking interview.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So I'm going to give you some verbal feedback on your performance. And so we're going to be looking at the public version of the speaking band descriptors. Excuse me. So first of all, we'll look at your fluency and coherence. So you can sort of follow it along and have a look.
Can I interrupt here, Ros?
Of course you can, Sabal.
team, super team, can we get the link? Did we put the link up? Did I miss it? Of the speaking band descriptor link, please. So we can all follow it. Thank you very much. It's there. Thank you. I think I missed it. Thanks, Roz. The link's
worries.
up now, and I think we'll just give them 30 seconds so people can open it up.
That's fine. That's fine.
That's what I'm trying to do as well. It's actually been a learning curve for me.
What, the speaking test?
Yeah, well, the whole processes we've had, because I've been using these band descriptors myself.
Oh, good.
So, okay, it's open now, Roz. You can go for it with the feedback.
Okay.
Thanks.
So, Ashley, back to you.
Yeah.
So, you did speak at length and you didn't have any real noticeable loss of coherence, although you did hesitate and self-corrected a few times, but I'm sure you're aware of that as well.
Yeah.
You used a range of connectives and discourse markers with some flexibility. For example, you used because and the simple linkers, and then I think, especially, and those, actually, of course, and a few more. So well done. That can also always be improved upon. And I think the more that you can use, the better, especially in your speaking, because we do use them naturally. All right?
Yeah.
Now, your lexical resource. You did use some good vocabulary to discuss the variety of topics. You used words like carbon footprint, which was great. And you showed an awareness of your style and collocation as well. Not always correct, but, you know, some little mistakes there, of course. And you could paraphrase if needed. Now, as to your grammatical range and accuracy, you did use a range of grammatical structures. However, sometimes your complex structures were less accurate than your simple structures. So you need to do a little bit of work on your complex structures. However, you know, the mistakes did not deter me from being able to understand what you were speaking about. Your pronunciation, I can understand everything that you were saying. However, sometimes your intonation sort of rose up at the end, whereas it should be coming down towards the end of a sentence. And the only pronunciation problem I had was with our, you know, like our.
Yeah.
You say ow, ow, you know. Like...
I'm aware.
But again, that just takes some practice to pronounce it clearly, because otherwise it sounds a bit like a dog barking, you know, ow, ow. We don't want that. We don't want that. But thank you so much for being the guinea pig today.
You're welcome.
And joining me in doing this speaking test live on air for everyone. I really appreciate you doing it.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. And then I'm the invigilator that comes along, and you may now take your equipment and you can take your ID card and go home. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye, Ashley.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Ashley. Bye-bye.
So there we go.
So, okay, that was an actual a live speaking practice that we've had. So, ladies and gentlemen, it may have gone past like a blur, because it was.
But that's good.
Yeah, it's good. It's like a blur, because I was looking at the speaking band descriptors, and I liked how you said the heading and then you spoke about it. So I've got a fair idea which range Ashley may have been scored at. So basically, just a question here, Roz, and this is for my own liking. And there's no questions that have come up yet on our chat. My question would be, are you able to, and this is not to put you on the spot, are you able to give a range?
No.
Okay, thank you. I've got my question. Right, ladies and gentlemen, any questions on the speaking? Shoot them away, bring them through into the chat box. But there's one area I'd like to share as a test center manager. We have test takers that would complain and say, the examiner stopped me. The examiner didn't even let me finish my sentence. She was rude, or he was rude. Didn't even let me finish my sentence. Rose, do you want to tell
Exactly.
us why that? Do you know why that happens?
I do know why that happens, actually, because IELTS speaking test is extremely strict on the timing. All right. So there's specific timing, and for examiners, if they don't stick to that timing, they're in big trouble. And the reason for this strict timing is that it makes it fair for everyone who's taking this test throughout the world. And that's the best part about IELTS, is that, number one, you're speaking face to face, so we can see your body language and your, sort of little gestures, etc., but also that the test is fair with timing for everyone.
Yeah. And you're right, you're spot on with that. That it's the time factor. It's not about being rude. It's not about having a bad answer.
Definitely not. And, the examiner generally will say thank you and move you on, because as with Ashley, I was watching my clock here and I stopped her at the 2-minute mark and I said thank you, because I was watching my time. That timing was actually exact in a normal speaking test.
And a normal speaking test is between 11 and 14 minutes, ladies and gentlemen.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
If you finish at 11 minutes, doesn't mean you were bad. If you finish at 14 minutes, it doesn't mean you were bad. It's just the whole concept here. The examiner looks at how well you can converse. And I always say this at every presentation I make. IELTS is not a grammar test. It's actually, it sees how, it's not how much you know English, it's how well you can use English. That's what it's measuring. We've got questions coming. Ready?
Okay.
Shoot them at you now.
Yep. Let me have a drink first.
Sure. So here we go. Her answers sounded too short. Would that be a problem in the real official test?
Well, the thing is, some of her answers were a little bit short, and I asked her to extend them by asking why. For example, in the first part, I kept saying, why? So definitely, if you can, do a little bit longer, and I don't mean like a novel, I mean like a little bit longer, that's fine, because don't forget, the examiner will stop you and move you on if you're just going on and on and on. So no, the first part, her answers were a little bit short, but I asked her to extend them.
Excellent. Thanks, Roz. From Seymour, we have a question. Is it okay to answer questions with only a simple sentence? Would that be similar to what you've just responded to?
Yeah, exactly. So try and extend it.
Yeah. Okay.
But not too much.
From Mehmet. Don't be a Seward in a Roz, right? I'm saying don't speak too much. If we don't understand any word in the interview, what shall we do? Do you think we can ask the examiner to repeat the question? Or the word I am not able to catch? Or should we pretend? I love this one. Should we pretend to understand the question?
Well, I think you're more, like you're better off, and you can do this, of asking, could you please repeat that? Could you please repeat that? And that's how we ask. Don't just say what, with a puzzled look on your face. What? Like this.
Or doing this again, what, So
yeah.
Here's a question from me coming from that one. Can you please repeat that? How many times can I ask that?
As many times as you need.
Oh, really? So it won't affect me by saying if
Absolutely
I ask you 10 times, it doesn't mean you're not understanding?
No.
Okay.
No.
That's something I've learned. So we've got another one coming saying, maybe I missed it. Which score would she be? Oh, sorry. Yeah, we weren't scoring, so I should have read the question before I read it out loud. Is it a problem to use British and American accents at the same time?
Whoa, you can do that.
That's talents.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Accent to accent.
Yeah, I think you're just a little bit mixed up there, but look, where, like examiners are looking at the language that you produce, and when you come to pronunciation, if in the band descriptors, if everything can be understood, it doesn't matter whether you've got a mixture of accents. It's not relevant.
Okay. Thanks for that, Roz. Rachel, I'm going to come back to your question. So I'm still going. We've got if we stand, question from Hakan, if we stand in the middle of the part 2, approximately how many points do we lose?
It's not about that. You would be asked to extend your answer.
Okay. Here's a question from Yegan. If we exceed the time limit in part 2 and the examiner interrupts in the middle of the sentence, does that mean our timing system is bad as a test taker?
Look, if the examiner stops you mid-sentence, it's because they have to, because of the strict timing for IELTS. And please do not take any offence about this whatsoever.
Yeah.
You're better off to be speaking and stopped than stopping at 1 minute and going, that's it. So keep going.
And stop. Here's a question from, I'm sorry, it's Asus. I know it's a brand of a laptop. Asus, your question is, what is the timing for each question or each part? I think they mean. How many minutes?
The timing in total is 11 to 14 minutes.
Thank you very much. Do you think we will lose marks if we are being interrupted by the examiner on many occasions? So if the examiner keeps interrupting me, am I losing marks?
It's got nothing to do with marking.
Thank you.
It's timing.
Could you give us some constant mistakes that Turkish students do in IELTS speaking, please? What a great question. I love this question.
Absolutely. Now, that is a good question.
Yes. What do you know of?
Yes, some of the problems that I've heard about are, for example, with part 2, where you do have to speak for the long turn, is that candidates generally have not practiced enough to speak for that period of time. And that's important. And you really have to have a good planning method in place. And also doing things like we spoke about in the previous speaking webinar that we did, saying things, and that's it. That's all I have to say. I don't know anything about that. There's some of the problem areas. Hesitation is also a problem. Self-correction, correcting yourself too much, hesitating too much.
I'm going to cut you off, but that was Gizem's question that was next. Is it bad to show your hesitation during speaking?
Well, if you look at the public version of the band descriptors, you will look in fluency in coherence, all right? And it comes under that band. And for example, a 6 is willing to speak at length, although may lose coherence at times due to occasional repetition, self-correction, or hesitation. So if you want to score a high band, you have to have less hesitation.
Yeah. So, Idam, I can see, Idam, you're a regular with us at our sessions. She's got a question. If we don't give an answer to each point in speaking part 2, is it penalised?
Is it penalised? You should be answering all of the points that you've been asked to answer.
Okay.
And if you plan well, you should be able to.
Yeah. So that's for Idam. And then, oops, I've just gone up my page too high. We have another Idam, a different Idam right after. Sometimes we need to think and fill the blanks like, let me think, or that's a good question, or etc. Do those sentences bother some of the examiners, or do they prefer us to use them as a catch?
Look, if you really are thinking, and it's something that we native speakers would say, wouldn't we, Saval? That's a good question. I've never thought about that. But you don't overuse it. Say it once and be done with it, and use that time. Yeah.
I think I want to add to that. Look, not being an examiner, but I think just keeping it natural. That's the converse. That's what the examiner is looking for.
Exactly.
Converse with this person. Can I have a conversation? At my presentations, I say to high school students especially, smile. When you've got that great energy when you're walking in, your energy just bounces off each other. So have that smile on your face.
That's right. That's right.
So here we go. Seymour's got a question. If the examiner feels a bug in our speech because it doesn't sound natural at the same time, it is not so. It might be related with our intention level. And is it a big problem?
I'm sorry, I don't fully understand that.
I'm sorry.
question.
I think let me just rephrase it then.
What does a bug in?
Bug, I think, might be like I think they're trying to express themselves by saying if the examiner finds a fault or an area of concern in their speech, is that because they're not speaking natural enough? Would that be related to their intention because they're trying so hard, or they're just not sounding natural? So not sounding natural, I think, would mean you would sound too robotic.
Yeah, well, that comes under pronunciation then. When you get the robotic sort of, I don't know what to say, that comes under your pronunciation band score then. So try and keep it natural.
Yeah, and the fluency. Seema, I'm sorry if I couldn't read your question. Please rephrase it if that's not what you were looking for.
Mate, can she write it in Turkish to someone so that they can
Yeah, we can write it in Turkish here. We've got lots of great comments. Hande's put one up. I think one of the mistakes we do, which is a Turkish test takers, during speaking is thinking about some things like in Turkish. I use English daily notes, sometimes mess up because I think some phrases like they are in English. I suffer from this every day.
Because I think there's some idioms actually that have very similar meanings, don't they, in both languages? Like I've heard some examples and I've just thought, oh, we've got that idiom, but it's this, very similar meanings though.
Don't catch me off guard now because it's 7:37 p.m. and I can't think.
Plus you've had a bad day with a headache. Yeah.
No, I had a bad moment. It's good now. Okay, question. Is there any strategy we should use for part 3?
For part 3, well, just remember that you will be going on to discuss further topics concerning your part 2 topic, but it will be sort of pushing you to extend the conversation. That's the main thing.
Yusan's question: if the student becomes off topic while they're speaking during the task, are they warned by the examiner?
No, that's your problem.
That's your problem. Gülnur has asked, can we start agreeing with the statement, then change our minds during our speech? Like starting with, oh, I think cars have nothing to do with the environment, then go, oh, maybe it is important.
Well, I think you really should have that sorted out in your mind before you answer. I really do, because that's not something we would naturally talk. That topic is not something that we would naturally talk about in that way.
Aisha, you've asked us if we've got any speaking test videos, examples like a good 6, 7, or an 8. Can we listen correct test examples like that? Check out our website. We've got lots of trials there. I hope they're of use for you. Last few questions we're coming down to. They're getting longer and longer.
Oh.
We'll take the last 5, ladies and gentlemen. Bura's asking us as an examiner, well, we're not examiners, so we don't know that one yet, but as experts, is it normal to react to the test taker's sentences? For example, oh, that is nice, or that's a good answer. So would an examiner normally comment like this, Ros?
No, they wouldn't.
Yeah.
They might smile and nod their heads, but they're not going to make verbal comments like that.
And can I, again, as a test center side of things, where we have test takers saying, oh, my examiner didn't even look at my face, or my examiner was writing numbers, right? I got a low score, so I got demotivated. This is very, very common.
Really?
Yeah. So the response here is the examiner cannot score during the test. They're not allowed.
No, that's right. But they may be writing down timing, as I was with Ashley. I was writing down timing, like for her 1 minute when it started, so that I know when it finishes. And then when she started her 2 minute speaking, I wrote down the beginning of that timing. And then again with the part 3, I wrote down that timing when that began. So this is something that examiners have to do to keep it fair for everyone throughout the world. The timing is critical.
Yeah, well, I totally agree. Badka's got a question. I will take this one. If we take a computer-based exam, do we pass the speaking test online as well? So computer-based test is obviously on the computer. And in Istanbul, we are still continuing with our face-to-face speaking. So face-to-face speaking in person. We also have a new system of doing the speaking. It's called a video conference speaking test, which means our examiner in Istanbul can actually do the speaking test for candidates in Ankara or a different city, or vice versa. And what that means is we use Zoom as we're using it now. We've got the cameras on. The examiner checks the ID, so the invigilator brings them along. The candidate has to be in our test center as well as the examiner. So hope I've answered that question. So Özge's got something saying, I usually forget the articles while I am talking. How can I handle this one?
Oh, that is a common mistake too. Please try and do some practice, because they're extremely important as part of the English language. So yes, practice, practice, practice.
We've got a question saying, I'm stuck at 6.5 and I can't get any, basically, we're not sure of feedback for the assessment section. So ladies and gentlemen, with the IELTS testing, when you get the scores, we don't get feedbacks given for the official test, because the question here is to say, how can I get detailed evaluation? I think you're meaning, how do I get feedback about your scoring? That's not possible with IELTS official test. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ros.
No, but I'd like to make a suggestion to that person, though, that they do download the speaking band descriptors and they see exactly what they have to improve upon.
Yeah, I like that. Good one. But I didn't miss your question. I've just got quite a few questions coming through. I'm going to come back to you. So how many examiners evaluate the speaking? Idam has asked. Allow me to respond to that, Ros, if that's okay. One examiner, your face-to-face, in-person, or the video conference call examiner will give you a score that will be punched into the system. If there's a major differentiation between your other bands, like listening, reading, or writing, then a second examiner will be called in to reassess your score again. Okay, so 2 to the minimum. Hakan has asked us a question. Do you listen to the record after the exam if you don't determine our level during the face-to-face? Again, I'd like to respond to this one.
Yeah.
11 to 14 minutes, but all our examiners are placed in scheduling for 20 minutes. So once the test taker leaves the room, the rest of the time the examiner has is to score it, and no, they don't re-listen to it. That's how I know it. Ros, correct me if I'm incorrect there, or add to it.
Well, I think they have to remember too that all the examiners are professionals who've been, well trained to do this.
And they're all trained from Cambridge.
That's right.
The Cambridge framework. So, and they're constantly monitored. So they're constantly up to date.
Yes.
That's very important. So I'm just going up to my 2 last questions. I had a big one from Rachel, and Batu's question, okay? This is the last one for Batu. We sometimes are able to speak longer if we are familiar with the topic. However, sometimes we are just stuck in the middle of the exam. It's all about how much we are familiar on the topic and how our vocab range about the related topic, right?
Yeah, and I would suggest to anyone who will be taking the IELTS test is to download, like there's lots of part 2 topics online. Download all the topics, start practicing with planning them in a minute, walking around the house, speaking them. You can even record them into your own telephone and listen to yourself back. So there's so many ways that you can increase your vocab and your knowledge bank as well.
Yeah. I think it's the question types that a lot of people are very, very curious about too. So I didn't know that we can actually Google that up. Rachel's question, here we go. In the lexical band, the term idiomatic vocabulary is a bit odd.
Why?
Is it actually nuanced? Nuanced vocabulary and or idiomatic expressions, but not a penalization for now specific idiomatic expressions.
Oh my goodness.
Did you understand that question?
No, all I understood was idiomatic. Look, the use of idioms is, regarded in the higher band scores, because generally the lower band scores will not know about many idioms. And so the ability to use them naturally when you're speaking is worthwhile.
I'm just typing to Rachel now. I just said, just rephrase that.
I think she's got a lot of terms there that she's...
Yeah, she'll just, so it's just, I think she's actually written to me before I read it out and said, idiomatic, just read the question. So I'll just wait, Rachel, I'll wait for you to come back to me again on that one. Is speaking slowly a bad thing?
Well, of course, that comes into your fluency and coherence again. And if we have a look here, if it's too slow, you know, like really, really slow, yes, it is going to be a problem. So you should be slow enough that you can, giving yourself time to think and then coming out with it.
But not too slow where you'd sound very robotic.
No, exactly.
Very rigid.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Rachel's actually going back to Ashley's test that we had on the session. She's saying, I think the student who spoke didn't use any idioms. It sounded like she used more nuanced, am I pronouncing that right? Nuanced vocab connected to the topic. That's what it was. That's where she was deriving her question from.
Okay, yeah. No, I didn't hear any idioms that Ashley used either. But it doesn't mean that she doesn't have the ability to do it.
Okay, because I'm just scrolling up. I want to see the question again.
Because she showed the awareness of collocation with words like carbon footprint, etc.
So there's no penalization for not using specific idiomatic expressions, right?
Well, if you can use idioms, great. You know, absolutely, because when you look at a 7, this is where it comes into a 7, is it uses some. Now, some is the important word there. Some less common and idiomatic vocabulary, and shows some, again, awareness of style and collocation with some inappropriate choices. So that modal verb some is important. Whereas when you go up into an 8, uses less common and idiomatic vocabulary skillfully with occasional inaccuracies. There's no some there.
Okay, so here's a question. At about a band, well, if there's no idioms, can we consider that it could be approximately band 6 area?
Well, they're going to have to have a look at. They're going to have to look at the public version band descriptors and make that choice for themselves. I can't comment.
Okay,
I really can't.
So I think very last question from Ipek, and then we're going to wrap it up.
Okay.
If we think 5 seconds before start to answer the question, does that affect our point? So if you've got 5 seconds thinking time.
5 seconds, that's quite a long time, actually. That's quite a long time. So I would try and shorten that if you can. Because 5 seconds, no, that's, you know, you think, no, that's a long time. Yeah, okay. You've got to shorten that.
Thanks for that, Roz.
Thank you, as always, Saval.
I had a lot of fun. I know Ashley's in the background there. She's switched off the camera, but Ashley, thank you very, very much.
Yes, I thank you too.
Both ladies. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've got the poll. We're going to put the poll up to see what we're doing for next Sunday. Now, it's May. Our curfews are getting less and less. We're going to have more freedom coming along in June. And I'll be, you know, basically we're looking at carrying on with these sessions in May, and then we may start weaving them away. So when you're selecting, please select, when you're doing a poll now, select the most important area that you'd like to hear from us. And when my team is ready, let's go for the voting. Bring it on. Oh, we've got 2 options.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah, I think that's what the teams has put on. So these are the areas that we haven't done yet, Roles. I think we're just keeping some ideas for next following polls coming along. So general training, reading, or IELTS listening. We'll have fun with listening, won't we?
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
I think, and also what we do is we put a poll up, we put a survey up onto Instagram as well, just to hear what the wider community would like to know about it. So we'll have these 2 questions up there as well. But it looks like listening is the winner at the moment.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
We're going to have fun.
Uh-huh.
I'm already thinking what kind of listening stuff we'll have.
Oh, look, I'm going to have to be careful, aren't I? Going to have to be very careful.
It'll be dynamite. So basically, yeah, once this is up, I think we'll keep it up for another minute. But Roz, we're at the end of another session.
Yeah.
We
had quickly again.
Yeah, it certainly has. We had a great crowd tonight, over 100. We didn't go down to the triple numbers at all.
Oh, that's good. Well, I hope they benefited from it. I really do.
Look, I did on a personal scale here.
I think it's always a bit of a mystery to everyone, isn't it?
And I think what happens is with an expert like you and a test center person, because we're the customer facing. So we listen to all the good things, all the things to do better from the customer point of view. And this is for all stakeholders, teachers that we work with, companies, business managers, everyone's a test taker for us.
Yeah.
But it's the way how we provide the service. And I think one and for all is to be transparent. Sorry, Ross. Yeah.
No, I think it's really important. I do, to have that transparency.
Yeah, so and that's the way we like it, let's be open, let's share as much knowledge as we can with everybody else. A lot of our experts wouldn't even know that we have complaints about speaking. The examiner didn't even look at my face. I'm thinking,
that's sad.
Yeah,
because eye contact is so important. It can be so encouraging. Gestures are everything.
Or it could be like, how the test takers don't know what actually happens. The examiner gave me a 2, so I lost total confidence. I'm like, no, that's not scoring. That's absolutely not scoring. That's
because they're writing times down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we come across with a lot of things like this. But okay, I think we can. Are we ending the poll, team? I think there's 5 people to go. But everybody, thank you very much. It's 7:52. Have a wonderful evening. Have a fantastic week. Enjoy. Actually, we're back here on Mother's Day on the 10th of May.
Ooh.
Bring your mums along. How's that? Let's have mums. Let's have our mothers on our IELTS webinar next session.
Oh dear.
I think we'll have a bit of fun there too. So enjoy the rest of the week. Roz, you take care. Enjoy your beautiful weather in Ege. And have fun gardening, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. It's beautiful. We had rain yesterday. Golga's sound asleep on the sofa opposite me at the moment.
Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great evening. Good night.
Thanks for joining us tonight. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.